This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
This is the Limitless Keith Lee, and I'm here to ask you to stop what you're doing, take just one moment, and bask in the glory of the Busted Wide Open podcast. Mwah.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 184. Still broken, battered, and bruised from moving this entire studio in the last 48 hours. My name is Nick Howell.
And Goldberg says he wants a receipt from The Undertaker for their match. And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and I just want a refund. Welcome to the show, everybody. And yes, Nick, you are in your new digs over there. Congratulations, sir, on a 48-hour move.
I did it all for the listeners.
It ain't like
all
you
for
ain't
the
got
show.
nothing to move either. You got the whole Star Trek spaceship over there in that room that we run this show on. So very impressive, sir. Very impressive. And thank you very much for that. However, that was not all that happened this week. A whole lot has happened in wrestling this week, Nick. We've got NXT, AEW, Smackdown. Plus, we're going home to TLC. TLC is tomorrow. Last night was Ring of Honor Final Battle. After our show today, like almost exactly as soon as we're done recording here today, will be NWA's Into the Fire.
Into the fire!
And it's just a madhouse right now. So I don't want to sit here and dawdle. Let's get right into this. Let's do some housekeeping and let's talk about the wrestling.
Absolutely. Well, guys, come over and join us on Facebook. It is the hub of our operation. Just search for Busted Wide Open over there. Like our page, and then send us a join request to get into the BWO discussion group with the rest of the phenomenal ones, where you'll find also a link to our Discord community, where we have all of our live chats for all of the shows all throughout the week, as well as dedicated chat channels for real-time chat during all of the pay-per-views across the board. It is the place to be. It helps us keep all the spoilers out of the group, and everybody can have lots of good fun times over there, and they stick around forever, unlike other things, Facebook. You can also find us over on Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast, streaming live right here on YouTube at youtube.com/bustedwideopen every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. One of these days, I'll get that right for sure. That's Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern. What I meant to say was that after the 3 p.m. show today, we're going to be doing our BWO patron mailbag at around 5 p.m. Eastern, depending on when we finish this one. So you don't want to miss that. It's where our listeners, or our patrons specifically, get to send in questions so that we get to answer them right here on the show. It used to be our listener questions on the podcast. You might remember that at the end of the shows, but we decided it was so important. We wanted to thank our patrons. We broke it out into its own individual live stream series right here on YouTube. And to get in on that, you can head over to patreon.com/BWO and sign up for just that $5 tier. And you can ask questions every single week for every episode of the Patron Mailbag. Many more perks over there, such as bonus episodes, copies of the show notes, sweet swag. Hell, you can even do Skype interviews once a month with myself and Sir Ian Dangerous. All kinds of goodness happening over at patreon.com/BWO. But Ian, just like you said, we have got no time to waste because we are getting straight into the graps because there's so much to go over.
Yes.
So let's kick this off with AEW.
Well, on TV, it was certainly a really fun show this week. But Nick, before we get into actually like what went down on the show, I want to talk about something that has been a topic of discussion this whole week about this episode of AEW, and that was, you could even see it in some of the shots, like when Big Swole ran around the ring, there was a whole wall. The whole hard camera side was totally empty. There was no one in those seats. There was a lot of empty seats on this show. And there's been a lot of doomsayers already saying, AEW's done. Stick a fork in it. It's toast. What did you think about all of the empty seats in that arena there, Nick?
Where were they this week? For some reason, I feel like it was Corpus Christi or something like that.
Corpus Christi is next week. This was Garland, Texas, I believe.
Oh, so outside of Dallas. JR kept saying, yeah, right here, outside of Dallas.
Yeah, Curtis Curwell Center, Garland, Texas.
Right. So Dallas is usually a pretty good crowd. They've usually got a pretty good appetite for professional wrestling in Dallas. But Garland, I don't know.
I don't know. I remember the beginning of the G1 they had in Texas, right around Dallas as well, and they could barely get anyone in that arena as well. And that really was empty, that arena. So that was a bit disappointing. Cody did address this. He said, he tweeted out, we had over 4,500 people at 80% utilization, well above market. Vibrant crowd throughout. We will definitely be back. So he obviously, he's got motivation to make it sound good, but he's saying, no, it's fine. We don't have a problem with it. So, but the other question is what is the normal average expected attendance these days? Because, it used to be 15 to 17,000 is what you want to see for one of these shows. We know that Raw and SmackDown numbers have dropped precipitously. Yeah. For example, this week's AEW show only sold 800 less tickets than last Monday's Raw in Greenville, South Carolina. So, take that for
Fayetteville.
What it will. So,
no, that was Greenville. You're right.
Greenville.
Fayetteville was SmackDown.
So here's the thing is that this is not just AEW. It seems to be the market. It seems to be people who want to go to live shows. So there's a lot of other factors involved here. So I just wanted to throw that out there for people who are.
It might have something to do with the fact that a beer is $15. People's appetite for live events might be going down thanks concessions and greed and capitalism.
And the holiday season,
just saying,
I don't know.
And it's the
there could be a lot of
and
factors, but the bottom line is Cody was putting it out there that look, like we're also the arena, by the way, to 6,800 person cap, so it wasn't like they were that far below total attendance possibility. So
all right,
yeah,
I don't get wrapped around the axle about that kind of stuff unless it's like an entire promotion's pay-per-view that's empty. Sorry.
Oh my.
So we're talking about AEW, though. We'll get to that later because I definitely have some thoughts around that. I don't really get – look, they're 2 months in. Not even 2 full months. Well, I guess, almost 3 full months. Steiner math again. But I don't get too wrapped around the axle about this. They're doing this every single week. And they've already got pay-per-views announced going into almost March of next year. So, little small showing doesn't show up. The fact that the TV numbers are pretty much staying, have flattened and stayed there is what's important to me.
Yeah.
If those start dropping like the Raw and SmackDown shows have done a couple of times over the course of the year, that's where I'm going to start because they don't have a lot of room to lose.
No,
right?
Even those numbers could be better, but I like the spring will really be the tell.
Sure.
I think this time of year is always tough. But let's get into the show itself. Open up with Jon Moxley having a squash match, murdering a dude. And was Alex Reynolds was the guy he murdered this time. Pretty quick paradigm shift, and 1, 2, 3, it was done. But that was not the only paradigm shift on the show because out came, surprisingly, Le Champion, who has
entire inner circle came out.
Well,
surrounded the ring.
Le Champion is not being. He's not going to allow himself to be in that ring alone with Moxley right now. This is very cagey on his part. But it was kind of shocking. He's been dodging him for the last few weeks. Came out to the ring and hopped in the ring and said that he was offering Moxley a true paradigm shift, and that was to join the Inner Circle, Jericho's little cadre. So this was very fun. Moxley never said a word. He stood there and listened the entire time. Jericho treated him like a spiky plant and just didn't get anywhere near him. Even when he was like, hey, join the Inner Circle. Here, let me give you a shirt. He kind of like threw the shirt over his shoulder from a distance.
Delicately placed it on his shoulder.
Just don't want to set you off there, big guy. But this was a fun little segment, and they even referenced their plot of their feud back in WWE, including their hardcore match with the Asylum match. They mentioned, what was his name?
Mitch the
Houseplant. And the tax that Jericho went into, the fact that Dean Ambrose destroyed Jericho's jacket. They called back to plot in WWE, and Jericho said, I got you over then. You came to me and asked me what I had to do to get over. And I'm telling you now, join the Inner Circle. So, what did you think of all this, Nick? Was it cool to involve the WWE history? Should they stay away from that?
No.
Is it like, should Moxley have been set off by this, or was this all just nice little plot building for what's coming?
I think if this had been anybody else but Jericho, Moxley would have just kicked him in the face and it would have been over with. But the fact that it is Jericho, they do have the history that he called back to basically ad nauseum across the board, their entire history, and recapped everything. Plus he was on, I think he has a lot of respect for Jericho. I think my position on this is that Moxley has made himself in AEW as a mercenary, as just a independent contractor that is just going to just do whatever the hell he wants.
You don't think of him kind of like a Stone Cold character, like just out for himself, doesn't DGAF about anybody else?
That's kind of what I was getting to.
Okay.
Yes, it's just independent, does what he wants when he wants. And the worst thing you could do is put that guy, make him a goon in a faction. The worst thing you could do is Jake Hager him. Right. So I think this is going to be fun to play out. They could make this story. They could make it last as long as they want to. Those two are brilliant. That crowd was hot for Moxley when he was coming out through the audience. That place erupted, and they even just erupted. Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Okay, Jesus.
Okay, just to make the point, right? He doesn't announce anybody else like that, but John Moxley. So it's kind of little indicators like that I'm watching around Moxley. They got big plans for Moxley.
No, of course they do. He's the top guy in their company right now. Both.
No way he's joining the Inner Circle. I guess is my point.
Well, duh. Did you actually? No, this is a fun little thing where he's going to be able to reject it, and we're going to have a lot of fun watching him reject Jericho. And it's a way to get to the next week. But I thought it was a lot of fun, and honestly, I also thought it was a very smart decision on their part to go this route, because it's going to be fun to watch him reject it, and it does buy them some more time. So,
if he does somehow magically bring out his torn to shreds Christmas tree jacket, that would be amazing. Throw it in
Jericho,
his face.
One thing that's really good about Jericho, he doesn't really go back in time on his gimmicks. Very rarely does he do that. The lexicon of Jericho would be the closest thing, I think, and even then he's evolving it. So,
excuse me, that's the lexicon of Les Champions.
Right. We also had the tag match that was teased last week. The Butcher and the Blade had their inaugural tag match against Cody and QT Marshall. QT, of course, usually known as an enhancement guy, handpicked by the Butcher and the Blade to team with Cody. And I was really shocked, because this turned into not getting over the Butcher and the Blade, who are having their first match and should probably be coming out looking like studs. And they looked fine, but this was a match to get QT Marshall over for some reason. He started getting all this babyface offense, and he had the story. It was like the story where he was the improbable loser who was suddenly finding all this within himself, that he was able to actually put on a good match, even though he ultimately did eat the pin. There was a bunch of big babyface spots for QT Marshall. What was this, Nick? Should they have gotten Butcher and Blade over more, or was it okay to get QT over like this?
No, I think it happened by accident, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think this was the plan.
This was their idea behind the match. This is how they
was to get QT Marshall over.
This is how they structured the match, so that he would get all this babyface fire. The crowd would get behind him and think, "Oh my God, maybe this loser might actually win this match." That's how it was structured. That wasn't an accident.
Some crazy finisher they've got, some kind of suplex backstabber thing that they just murdered him on.
Why isn't it called the Butcher's Block? That's what I want to know.
That would be
amazing. Chopping.
That's really good,
chopping
actually.
Block.
Chopping block.
Chopping block.
Oh, yes. None of this made any sense to me until after Dynamite, when they played MJF's promo on social media. Why would you not play that on the TV? Anyway.
What promo? They had a promo from MJF in the beginning of the match where he was saying, like, I hired these guys. They're going to come get you, Cody.
So maybe I'm crossing my streams here, but I think was that on Dark? So they had Butcher Blade and Bunny do a promo video on Dark this past week.
Yes.
And then afterwards, MJF had a promo with Wardlow
sitting in the background. They were like a dark red corridor
on social media.
No, that was also in the middle of the show itself as Butcher and Blade were making their entrance and Cody's making his ostentatious entrance. They played that as well, just to remind us all.
It's been a long week.
No, ladies and gentlemen, please excuse Nick.
I get a pass
today.
I've watched so much wrestling in the last 24 hours trying to catch up.
Right, while in the middle of moving an entire house into another enormous house as well. So no, you get a pass. I'm letting you know. Yes, they did play the MJF promo, saying, "That's right, I spent my money getting Butcher and Blade here to take you out, Cody." Ha ha ha.
Now it all kind of makes sense.
But this is kind of my point. Is like, well, it kind of makes MJF look like a doof, and it kind of makes Butcher and Blade look less good if they can't put out a guy called like QT Marshall. You can't put him down. What is MJF spending his money for? It's kind of like the James Bond movies where like the evil genius is like, I got all his goons going up to James Bond. He's like, you incompetent idiots. You cannot even take out one man. Like that's what this is here is you guys can't take out QT Marshall? Really?
They're stormtroopers.
You came out to silence because no one knew who you were, and they didn't have the foresight to try and build you up or have the announcers know who you were so they could tell us. So you came out to silence, and then now you're in your first match. You're putting over an enhancement guy or making him look good. What? Like this should have been them murdering QT Marshall. You should have told this story later on. Have QT's redemption later on. It was mind-boggling to me that we didn't get Butcher and Blade over right away as a legitimately dangerous team. The announcers tried to put them over. There was a lot of talk about how great they were, but then they were in there having trouble putting away QT Marshall. So
I liked how they neutralized Cody, got him out of the way, but it should have gone the reverse from there, and they should have just absolutely sacrificed QT Marshall right in front of Cody and made him watch or something like that.
Or have them
that would have been brilliant.
Have them beat down Cody, do what they're there to do. QT Marshall comes in for the save and actually holds his own. And has a big thing because he's actually like saves Cody up to a point and then they put him down. This was, I didn't quite understand the way that they built this match. But at the same time, it was entertaining. Butcher and Blade looked good. So don't really have a problem with that. Also, it looks like at the end of the match, Cody was sitting dejectedly outside the ring as Butcher and Blade left, and who should come stalking down the ramp but Darby Allin. Cody's been saying he's got no friends left in AEW, but apparently Darby says, nay, you got a friend in me. And next week we are actually having a Darby and Cody tag team match. So that is cool. It's cool. And Darby's over as hell. Or Darby's over as hell too. So that's going to be a nice pairing. You mentioned MJF. Well, we had an MJF promo. Oh, did we ever have an MJF promo?
I'm gonna remember this promo for a long time. This was really good.
What about it?
Like just tearing everything down. You couldn't have been much more of a butthead than he was to everybody and everything in AEW and just the audience, the fans, just everybody. Just tore everybody down. And I absolutely loved this. I want to see what's going to happen with
He went after Cody's lisp. Like, he went after everything.
Yeah.
Like, what? Whoa, dude.
It turned personal there, and I was just like, oh, okay.
He started off with getting a staffer to kiss his ring, and then gives him a crossroads. He called out Cody for calling him a knockoff Chris Jericho the week before, and so he was like, "Oh, I'm a knockoff Chris Jericho. All right, let's go." And he just went off on Cody, and then said, "Okay, yeah, I just went off on you. Go ahead." Fire me. Oh, wait, I know you can't fire me because if you do, you can't get your hands on me. So I know I've got you over a barrel. And tell you what, you can get your match, but I'll tell you the stipulations another time. Probably in the new year, I'll tell you the stipulations for this match. So just beautiful heel work here, Nick. I mean, is he the top heel talker there is? Or like, who else is on his level right now?
I'd put Jericho right there with him.
Yep. Jay White, I've got to throw in there for my opinion. Like I've been live where
Easily.
Jay White has had a crowd ready to just murder him.
Just
jump the barricades and kill him. Trying to think who else. I mean, it's just as far as like heel talkers. It's funny because hot take, Baron Corbin. He's not a charismatic talker in the way that MJF is, where like it's just fun, but he can get a crowd to hate him in 3 sentences. He can, and that's not nothing. Like they may not be as fun and smooth as MJF, but if you're talking about people who can get a crowd to hate them, like a heel promo, Corbin's got to be in the conversation these days. I hate to say it because they're not great promos, but he can make you hate him.
Yep, he knows the trigger points.
But anyway, yeah. So MJF waiting until the new year to tell us the stipulations for the inevitable Cody match. A little Dark Order moment here where what was it? Alex from the Beaver Boys was in a hotel room, and
it was Alex Reynolds again.
Alex Reynolds, yeah.
Yeah, from earlier.
Yeah, and he was in the hotel room watching the little like what do you call that? Like the hotel promotional video that they have, like welcome to wherever you are, and Motel 19, and here you can make sure that you can watch the pay-per-views on. So he's watching that, and all of a sudden it does a little creepy thing where it turns into a Dark Order commercial, and it's like, do you not want to be a jobber anymore, Alex? And he's like, well, yeah, no, I don't want to. And he starts talking to the TV, and creepy little thing. Are they getting better, this Dark Order gimmick? Like, is this what they should have done all along and just not introduce them and just introduce them this way slowly?
Yes.
Like, should they have done that? Like, it feels like to me like they're going to have to go out on a limb to restart this gimmick in a sense.
I think we've said that already a week or two ago.
I'm saying it again. I'm saying it again.
Yeah, we were talking about how they debuted Butcher, Bunny, and Blade.
Right.
And they now, and we were talking about Dark Order is suffering a lot of the same faults, right? So but they're doing the videos in the Dark Order now, they should have done it in reverse. Absolutely. Had they done all of this as a build-up, and we called back to the Wyatt family sitting in the barns and the rocking chairs when they first debuted years and years ago. So, yes, I absolutely think that the point is to do some of this build-up before they walk out and beat up Cody Rhodes for no reason.
Right.
You know? Like, who are you? Why are you here? You know.
I also saw a criticism of where people were saying that this was WWE style filming, where, you know, one of the things people criticize about WWE is you never have an idea of if it's where the camera is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, is there physical people in the room? And this was actually an issue for me this week on Smackdown, which we'll get to later. But you don't know if the camera's physically in the room or if, you know, it's just like a non-existent camera and we're just, you know, we're omniscient. We're seeing things in the room. And this kind of went back and forth on that. So I don't know, some critique there, but I didn't notice it too much. I think I'm just so used to wrestling tropes that it didn't register.
I don't even pay attention to that stuff really anymore. Unless they do some crazy shit like Sanity and just shake the camera all over the place.
Right, when you make it intrusive, where they do like the
camera work on Final Battle last night was atrocious.
Rack zooms.
I noticed it there.
Yeah.
So just, I don't notice it unless it's just that bad.
Well, speaking of bad, something that was not was Big Swole versus Emi Sakura. It was a really good women's match. Big Swole officially now with AEW. She signed last week, and she had a match where she got put over by Emi Sakura. What was your thought on this match, Nick? Was this are we starting to go in the right direction on the women's division here?
Why am I supposed to care?
Ooh, not a fan of this?
I'm a fan. Both of these ladies are magnificent performers. Why am I supposed to care?
Because win-loss record.
You've got Brandy off doing this stuff with the Nightmare Collective. You've got Riho, what we haven't seen on TV in 10 years. And why am I supposed to care about these two?
Well, largely because Emi Sakura was the third highest rated woman in the women's division, and you had Hikaru Shida, who's the number one still, was sitting ringside. So Swole basically is now moving up the ranks because she beat the number 3 ranked woman. So that's why.
Okay.
That's where you're supposed to care. Also, I was intrigued by this because Emi is obviously way more of a seasoned veteran than Swole is, and you could see her helping Swole through this match until about 3/4 of the way through, where Sakura started puking on the side of the ring. And I don't know if she got knocked in the head or she was sick coming out or what it was. They did not say. I have not been able to find why Emmy was throwing up at the end of this match, but she gutted through it, pardon the pun, finished the match. I thought it was actually an impressive match from both women. You know what I mean? As far as the women's division in general, I was entertained by it. I thought Swole looked good. She got the crowd hyped for her. And her and Sheeta, I think, would be a fun little feud too. So I actually wasn't mad at this.
I'm a bit of a reactionary puker. Can we not talk about vomiting anymore?
Okay, sure. I should. So I shouldn't mention that there was like a brown stain at like the hard camera side of the ring for the rest of the night. They couldn't even change the mat. There are people rolling around in it for the rest of the night.
I'm not kidding. My eyes are watering.
All right, then we'll move on.
And we had Emi Sakura puking on AEW Dynamite, and we're gonna have Nick Howell puking on BWO here in a minute. If we keep going down this.
Get a bucket. Hangman Page.
I got an empty box over there, but that's about it.
Oh no. Well, Naya, run. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega had a tag match versus Shawn Spears and Kip Sabian. Was interesting little tag team. Apparently, they made this work because they said that you had Tully Blanchard was looking for a tag partner for Shawn Spears, which, all right, he's just getting started being a singles guy. He hasn't really had the best time of it, but we're going to try and make him a tag. All right.
Sure.
Okay. So they're going to try out Kip Sabian. All right. Well, that went all well until the lights went out in the middle of the match, and the lights came back on, and Tully Blanchard had a rope wrapped around him at the top of the ramp. I would say he's tied to a chair, but it was basically he had a rope around him and was kind of squirming around in a chair. Joey Janela standing behind him, cackling. And so, of course, Shawn Spears, Tully, runs up the ramp. He and Joey Janela get into a fight. Tully kind of hobbles off to the side. And then it's just Hangman and Kenny Omega versus poor Kip Sabian. So he
got murdered by Kenny Omega.
Well,
V-Trigger, One Winged Angel, and then out of nowhere, Hangman Page tags himself in after Kenny had the match won just to get the pinfall. Are we turning Hangman Page heel here?
I don't know, but there's something going on. I don't know if we're going all the way heel, but it definitely feels like with like if you watch Being the Elite on YouTube, he's been moving away from the Elite for a while. But I don't know if they should turn him all the way heel because they have a lot of heels already in AEW. I don't know if they need one more, but Hangman Page, for instance, let's say, I don't know, throwing booking out there, let's say Hangman Page betrays everyone and joins the Inner Circle. That would be a pretty epic heel turn. That'd be a big shocker heel turn. Even if they do kind of like hint at it right now, if it feels more like Hangman just wants to go his own way. He doesn't want to play second fiddle to the Bucks and Kenny Omega. That's what they're making it feel like now. So at least there would be some rationale if he does end up betraying everybody. But it wouldn't feel like it was straight up telegraphed. So
I'm not sure if that's going to be the thing that makes people care about Hangman Page, though.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's not. I think it actually could help a lot. Because right now he's kind of bland babyface number 4. Yeah, you know, that was our beef with him over the summer, and it worked for him at the time because he was supposed to be bland babyface number 4 against Chris Jericho, and they showed that they were smart by not keeping him on that lol Hangman wins run he was on.
Right.
So that was good. But I'm curious to see where they're going with this, and I'm also curious why they're keeping Janela and Spears in each other's orbit. I don't know if they're the best matchups for each other, but I am intrigued with it. Not mad at it, you know?
Nah.
So I am a little bit mad at Brandy Rhodes' little Nightmare Collective gimmick, which seems to be but they've already got the Dark Order. Why are you doing this as well? You know I keep saying this.
I agree.
All right, well, so what do you
But I want to give it a chance to turn into something before I shit all over it. You know, I want to give it does Brandy Rhodes need to keep coming out in a one-piece bathing suit basically and talking about evil shit? That's where I get a little bit like, what you're making some bad choices.
That's my point. It's exactly my point. Is I don't like if you want to have 2 different cult gimmicks, fine, but you have to show me the difference between them fairly quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to get where I am right now, which is, why do you guys have 2 cult gimmicks at the same time? Yeah, okay, one cult is a like some creepy gimp dudes running around, and the other one is a hot chick who's shaving people's heads. They're still both cult gimmicks.
And who was that man?
Dr. Luther?
Who was that bald man behind with his back turned to us? It wasn't Simon Miller, was it?
No. Oh, no. That'd be cool, though.
Little actually, I thought of Kane. I thought of like unmasked Kane. It's what I thought of immediately when I saw the white button-down shirt,
right,
and that kind of side profile. I was like, is that Kane? No, it's not Kane. It's Kane's busy being a mayor.
No. It's my suspicion is it's Dr. Luther. He may come out as he probably will come out as a different name, but if you know Chris Jericho, one of his good buddies, and he's been around for a long time. But he would actually be perfect for this, so I'm hoping that's who it is. But yeah, I agree. They need to define the difference between the two cults fairly quickly. Apparently, Awesome Kong has a match next week, so hopefully we will get a little bit more differentiation between the two. But I'm not mad at the concept. Like I said, just the execution. You got to how you show it to us, separate them more. Yeah. Next, we had Luchasaurus versus Sammy Guevara. Yes, please. This was a lot. Hey, dude, is there anybody who is as over having done as little as Luchasaurus?
No.
Like, dude,
I would say he's one of the most over people. You know, you put Mox aside, he's probably one of the most over people in AEW currently.
You know what's funny? You mentioned Kane. And one of the things that Kane had, like Kane is one of those guys that I think as his career winds down, people will really kind of sit back and start to talk about how incredible Glenn Jacobs is as a performer.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at his career, the longevity of it and the matches he was in and the things he's done, people are going to start realizing what an absolute all-time great Kane was and is. One of the things that's rarely spoken about, but I think that is something that is one of his major upsides, was the fact that he could do almost nothing and it would feel cool and you would be engaged by it. He could stand in a ring and adjust his glove and you'd be like, ooh, right? And that's something that not like, there's a lot of big guys, not a lot of big guys as big as Kane, but there's a lot of big guys. And very few of them have that ability to do very little, but get over by doing very little. Like look cool, doing very little. Luchasaurus is one of those guys. Dude can just be standing there and you go, who's that? Who's that guy? He can do one move or just like a little shift of his body. And you go, ooh, that's cool.
And not to mention that he cuts really cool promos as well.
Well, it's funny.
It's kind of playing into the intelligence angle, which I kind of dig. You have to be careful it doesn't get into Sandow territory or Librarian Peter Avalon territory.
It can be a little kitschy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it could, his thing could be a little kitschy with his whole, first of all, he's a big, cool looking guy. And then you stop and think about it and you're like, wait, no, his gimmick is he's literally a dinosaur. And then
you mentioned Kane. The thought that I had to look it up real quick just to make sure I wasn't crazy. One of the first things Kane became known for was he took a chance on Smoky Mountain Wrestling with Cornette and the others, and he was in a tag team with Al Snow called the Dynamic Duo. Luchasaurus Jungle Boy, Kane, Al Snow.
Oh, no, you're right. He's really good with smaller guys. He's a guy that does his best work with smaller guys. Agreed. Right. Kane and X-Pac. Like, absolutely.
Kane and X-Pac. Kane and Daniel Bryan. You know,
sure. Smaller guys. Luchasaurus. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot. But again, the gimmick where he'll start talking and he literally sounds like me doing my nerd impression. I have a master's degree in philosophy and anthropological science. That's a weird gimmick. It might get over in AEW because that's kind of like the land of the misfit toys as far as gimmicks are concerned. But it's also, I don't know if it has longevity to it. I don't know. It's definitely something that I raise my eyebrow at in terms of presentation because he's a guy who could just be a big cool guy.
Yeah, when it was just Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, I would have the same questions. Now that they've made it into a Jurassic Express faction, they've got their own. They're using Luchasaurus's music basically, or they've created new music for them.
They have a fun little entrance where Jungle Boy comes out in like a hanging position on his back and then sits up and it's brilliant. Yeah, it's good stuff.
they're nailing it, all of the things. So yeah, I am all in on Luchasaurus and Jurassic Express. They're a blast. Might be one of the most facey things, outside the top of the card kind of stuff going on. And they're even Jungle Boy's got a title match next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's not a title match. Wait, is it a title? It's not
It's
a title.
non-title
Nobody
match.
knows if it's a title match or not.
No, Jericho apparently.
I'm still
as we
hearing
were
people
saying-
upset on social medias that it's why is Jungle Boy getting a title match?
Well, we were confused about it because they didn't make it clear either. And Jericho, of course, in
Right.
typical fashion, came out and said, I made it perfectly clear it was a non-title match. I said I had to wrestle this many times the rest of the year, not having this many title matches. Rah. So, yeah, it's a non-title match. There's a whole thing about him going 10 minutes with Jericho. All right, fun little stipulations. And at the end of this match, Luchasaurus beat Sammy Guevara. You had Jericho and Hager up at commentary. They kicked Excalibur and Shivani off of a commentary. They run to the ring, start beating down Luchasaurus. And, of course, Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt come out, and we have a big scuffle. And we end up unofficially having Jungle Boy pin Jericho. He gets Jericho in a roll-up, and Marco Stunt counts the 3. So, nice little for next week. Jungle Boy looking good heading into that. Just one last thing about Luchasaurus, though. I mean, the first time I saw him was as Vibora in Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground,
And that was one where the dude just stood there and did stuff. And you were just like, I was at a show. I was at a taping where he came out. And you and I both were, I believe. And
I was there with you.
Yeah, we were standing there going like, oh my God, this guy's an absolute unit. Like he's just.
I was like, who is that?
You're like, whoa. But that's the impression he gives. So you pair that with like a fun-loving little gimmick, and I love it. But as we always say, Nick, like comedy can only go so far. So I'm curious at what point they've got to kind of tighten up that gimmick. And then finally on this show, the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz in a Texas street fight to become the number 1 contenders for SCU's tag titles. Nick Jackson working with the flu. Apparently the guy was laid out on the locker room floor all the way up until this match started. Was this a blow-off match for their feud, or was it too early to have a blow-off match? Was that what this was? Am I crazy?
I don't.
Because this was a madhouse.
Well, I mean, so the Young Bucks come out, their entrance hits, and LAX comes out and blindsides them from behind. For some reason, Brandon Cutler comes out to defend their honor and tries to take over. He quickly gets powerbombed through a table at the top of the ramp before anybody even gets in the ring.
Through the
stage. Which, of course, there's a gymnastic pad under there. He's okay. Thanks, fine. Were these guys were trying to hurt each other, and I was okay with it. The Bucks and LAX have a long history throughout the Indies of having these matches with each other. I kind of took this a little bit of a flip of the nose at TLC that's happening this weekend as well. They went through as many tables in one match as they're probably going to go through in the entire pay-per-view this weekend. I've never seen. I'd have to go back to a Hardy's and Dudley Boys match to find where more tables were used.
Yeah, it was pretty much anytime someone took a major bump, they were going through a table, just like tables right and left. Like there was at one point, I think all 4 guys took a big bump and each one landed on a table consecutively. Right. Like, who got those tables there? Where are those tables? What? It was a fun match though. Even like creative use of stuff where Matt Jackson came in, like they were beating up Nick with kendo sticks and whatnot. And Matt Jackson comes up behind Santana Ortiz and grabs him, and they swing around, start hitting him in the head with implements. But he's already got a Dallas Cowboys football helmet on, so he just shrugs it off. He's like, "What?" They go to hit him with their hands. Ow! So
450 splash on the trash can on top of Ortiz. There's just so many. Meltzer driver down onto a chair.
Yeah.
This was my jam. You guys know I love this kind of stuff.
It was chaos. It was a very fun match to watch.
Who cares if it was the blow-off or not? I hope not as good as this match was.
I care, and we have to care because that's what we're here for, Nick.
I want more of it.
Okay, so you're probably, this is my opinion, you're probably going to get more of it. I don't see this as the blow-off. I just saw this as their way of setting up the end of the year, Young Bucks versus SCU, which I don't think the Bucks are taking the titles off of SCU here. Bucks win this match, but I don't see them going on. Whether it's shenanigans during the match next week against SCU, and you see the LAX getting involved, or the Lucha Brothers, or whoever. I see SCU holding on the titles for a bit longer, at least until their next pay-per-view, which will be AEW Revolution in Chicago on February 29th. Leap year.
Chicago again.
Chicago again. It's a good market for them.
Yeah, all of you, several of the phenomenal ones are in Chicago. So good news, guys. You get another AEW pay-per-view in Chicago.
Yeah, that's a good time. Anytime AEW wants to come out to the West Coast, I'm not mad at it. But
I mean,
they said it's going to be a while, but not surprised. But yeah, so there we are. Another pay-per-view announced. We've also got AEW Dark matches coming next week. We've got SCU versus Private Party, non-title match, but that's going to be there. Britt Baker versus Machiko, which is, I guess, a local talent. Chris Statlander will have a match against Bea Priestley. And the winner is going to face Britt Baker in a number one contenders match next week in Corpus Christi. And then Pac versus the Hybrid 2, which is, of course, Pac and the Hybrid 2, which is Jack Evans and Angelico, versus the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. So if you need your vitamin C, if you didn't get it this week, Orange Cassidy will be on Dark next Tuesday. So
interesting.
Yeah. So good stuff there, Nick.
Oh, yes. Well, that's AEW, guys. Thank you very much. We're going to head over and talk about NXT.
Well, the big match on this show, Nick, I'm going to get right to it because it was so fun. Triple threat.
The Cruiserweight Championship match to open up.
Oh, that was such a good one. That was so good. But no, I'm starting with the main event.
Oh.
Because
how are you going to skip that Cruiserweight?
I'm not going to skip. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to get back to it.
Do we have our first hardcore disagreement on what was the best thing on the show?
I can't. Well, I like them both equally, but it was the main event.
Okay,
we'll do the main event.
We'll do the main event first. We'll do that because I have a lot to say about that as well.
Go good. Well, I should hope so. May I continue? The main event.
Go for it.
Okay. The main event.
Hang on, I'll give you the music again. Go for it.
The main event, triple threat, Finn Balor, Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, for the number one contendership for the NXT Championship. Mwah. Mwah. All these guys. Oh man, this was a good match. Just bodies everywhere. People like. I love the fact that they had great promos throughout the entire show where they set up Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Ciampa, Lee. Everyone had a great promo about where their head was at coming into this match. Great setup for a match that had almost no build aside from a week or two of booking it. But where are these guys' headspace at? Here's some promos. Awesome. Now I know all I need to know. I'm hyped for the match. It was just they were blocking each other all the time, taking advantage of the other guys getting hit. It was what you want a triple threat to be, Nick. What were some of your highlights of the match?
Oh, I don't know. An electric chair air raid.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at that.
Because why not? The way that it finished, where Keith Lee spirit bombs Tommaso Ciampa, and hashtag out of nowhere, somehow feet just come down out of the top of the camera in a coup de grace onto Keith Lee for
Well, they showed an angle of it where you were behind Finn Balor when he's on the top rope waiting for Keith Lee to give that spirit bomb to Ciampa. So and it's a perfect angle because you see Finn take off at that perfect moment as Lee is in the air himself bombing Ciampa and looks up at the last second. It's a great finish because it's believable that Lee was thinking he was finishing the match and didn't even see Finn setting up and just got aced out of nowhere. It protects him. It protects Ciampa. Great finish to the match. And Finn executed it perfectly. As you said, the camera was perfect on it for the initial shot where you were like, what? What's this? No! Finn Balor is your number one contender for Adam Cole's championship. Is that the right call? Should it have been Ciampa? Should it have been Lee? Or is Finn the right call right now?
It pains me to say that Finn's the right call.
It doesn't pain me. I've been saying this since Finn came back.
No, I mean, it pains me to say it because it makes too much sense for the hottest guy in the company right now, Keith Lee, at least for the last month. Has just been on an absolute tear.
Sure.
And a big old white meat baby face going up against your top heel in Adam Cole. But what do you do with Finn Balor after that?
Right. Exactly.
It had to be Finn.
Make
It just had to
Finn
be
the
Finn.
guy that everyone's got to beat. They protected Keith with the finish. He'll be just fine. And as he mentioned a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, when he was facing off with the entire Undisputed Era, he's like, I'm just trying to pick which one of your titles I'm going for. There's other titles he can go for. Monstars can go for the tag titles. He can go for the North American, or he can just be out there being Keith Lee. And I ain't mad at that either.
Keith Lee will be NXT champion one day. I firmly believe
with
that.
with how hard that brass ring has been grabbed and all the opportunities he's been given in the last month. I'd have to say that's a pretty astute guess right there, Nick. I'd say that they're definitely they're liking what they're seeing from Mr. Lee. So all right, so let's get to the other match that you were excited about talking about, because Lord knows it's a tough one to talk about, the main event or this one, the one that started off with. Good Lord, Angel Garza.
Hot fire.
Angel Garza and Lio Rush, again, rematch for the Cruiserweight Championship. And somehow they had an even more insane match than last time. My God, this fast, furious, hard-hitting, insane moves, crazy shit. And at the end of it all, shockingly, Angel Garza throws the wing clipper on Lio Rush, and Lio Rush kicks out of the wing clipper. And Angel Garza, in a fit of pique and frustration, grabs Lio in a submission version on the ground of his wing clipper. Leo's nearly doing the splits. His body's being bent like a paper clip.
By God, he's folded in half.
And he weakly kind of taps out. And Angel Garza is your new Cruiserweight champion. The Rockets have been strapped to the Angel Garza. That's right. Once he ripped off his pants for the first time, Triple H could not help himself.
Yes.
Get a belt to cover this. You cannot even cover this with a belt. That's right.
It's a title, not a belt.
Sorry, you cannot even cover this wonderful crotch package with this title.
Do you think Leo's going to get another shot at it, or are we moving on? And if so, who's in line? I mean, they still got WWE markings all over this thing. Are we not officially transitioning it to the NXT Cruiserweight Championship?
It felt pretty NXT Cruiserweight Championship to me with this. Like, they were made clear that it's NXT.
They need to redo it.
Well, they need to get a new belt.
You're the master of cycling belts. Come on,
get a new belt.
Give us a new title. Yeah,
seriously,
exactly.
This one looks like crap. It really does.
It looks like somebody's 4-year-old drew it with a crayon and
It looks like it was printed with silly putty. Like it looks like a fruit roll up. This thing. I think it's been said before about the red strawberry jam universal title as well, but this one is it is the worst title in WWE, except for maybe the 24/7 championship, which is a joke.
No,
it's a joke title.
That's a
so
night and day difference from what the Cruiserweight Championship looks like.
Yeah, but
at least that's green and gold, and you can kind of get behind it for all.
No,
of that.
I know I can't get behind it for that. No, the 24/7 championship is a joke. The Cruiserweight Championship is like bright purple and ugly as sin, but it's not as bad as that one. Yeah. It looks like someone took a Chuck E. Cheese coin and printed it large on the front of a belt for 24/7.
Fine.
So, anyway, but okay, let's get back to this. Angel Garza is your new Cruiserweight champion. Lio Rush, do they continue? Is what you were asking, right?
Does he get one more? Does he get one more rematch? Does Lio get one more shot at getting it back, or do we move on? And if so, who do we move on to?
That's the question. I don't know how they are building the Cruiserweight division at this point. Like I'm kind of flummoxed as to who's in the division, like who are the big players. I was loving this feud. I like the fact that this was played as Angel Garza got in Lio Rush's head with his mind games, and it cost Lio Rush the match. I would like to see Lio Rush go on a redemption arc at this point. Like, you've just made me care about Lio Rush a bit. There was
for 3 weeks.
there was a couple of aspects of this that I questioned a little bit. There was obviously a very Garza favorable crowd because he had a lot of family in the audience, and he's gotten himself over like crazy.
Because he ended up proposing to his girlfriend in the ring after the match.
That's kind of where I was getting to, is that
and it made me go,
yeah,
it's fine to do that, but don't put it on TV.
Keep it for YouTube, like, because especially with how you've defined Angel Garza so far, unless you're changing his character, which is kind of sleazy Lothario guy,
coming out and getting kisses from ladies in the audience and lipstick on his cheeks, but his
girlfriend's there and he's going to propose to her in the middle of the ring after winning the Cruiserweight Championship. That makes him just like a wild baby face in my book. And he did kind of work babyface-ish in this match. Like was supposed to be kind of the heel and Leo's kind of be the babyface, but it kind of got muddled because the crowd was completely for Garza and very much against Leo. I was a little bit confused at the end. Did Garza turn face? Is Leo going to go heel? I wouldn't be mad at either of those things if that's our plan here. Be determined. Keep Garza as like kind of the charming Lothario who like, I'm off the market, ladies. I'm sorry. There is only one woman who gets this now. That's right.
Hashtag Garza dog.
Yes. That's right. You know she is special because she can take all of it.
Does he continue to do the same little tricks and his trade of his gimmick where he's coming in and holding the hands and letting the ladies kiss him on the cheek and all of those kinds of things?
That's what I'm saying. Is like, does he have to change his gimmick?
I think he ruined that by having him propose on TV
a little bit.
To his girlfriend.
Part of this feud was him like
super facey now.
That's what I'm saying. Part of this feud was him taking his pants off in front of Leo's wife. Like, part of his whole thing was him being kind of a slimy Pepe Le Pew scumbag.
It's where the feud started.
Right. Right. And so that's why I'm like, okay, are we going somewhere else with Angel Garza now? Fine. I'm cool if they are. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Both these guys are massive talents. Can
we have Humberto Carrillo come back?
Andrade, Humberto, all those guys need to be watching their taillights because Angel Garza's coming up quick. Yeah. So
phrasing.
I'm not
hashtag phrasing.
Hello. I'm not saying that Vince only has the ability to contemplate one Latino superstar at a time. I'm just saying. So, speaking of Latino superstars, Raul Mendoza had his match against Cameron Grimes this week and got a measure of revenge because Kushida, also who has been having some issues with Cameron Grimes, came out and messed with Cameron's hat, even put it on backwards and walked away with it. Raul Mendoza gets a win. I'm always happy when Raul gets a win. Cameron Grimes looking to have a feud with Kushida, I guess, is what they're going forward with. Is he too much of a small fish still for Kushida? Should Kushida be having bigger deal feuds, or is that kind of the point that Kushida is helping elevate Cameron Grimes here?
I think it's what we said last week. It's that Kushida coming back had that promo about love and his kid and his mom and his wife and just family and love and super facey stuff. But it feels like it's the beginning of what might be a retirement tour of sorts. And on the way out, he's putting all these dudes over. Maybe.
No.
I don't know.
No, Kushida has decades ahead of him if he wants it.
All right.
But I can see him being in there I think what we were saying last week was more of like a mentor role. You know what I mean? Maybe not like a Cassius Ono level mentor role where like Kushida still wins some matches, but right. I could definitely see him being in there as a guy who's, kind of done it all, except for WWE, being in there and helping the other guys. So yeah, maybe this will be a way of getting the people who don't know who Kushida is, helping them know who he is, but then also helping Cameron Grimes get over as well. That's what I'm hoping they're going to go. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Nick, we're going to get to a bit of a controversial match now because
this one's tough.
This must have been a tough pill to swallow for you because your boy Jackson Ryker, according to you, future WrestleMania main eventer Jackson Ryker had a match against Travis effing Banks from NXT UK,
who we love,
who we do love as well.
Dearly.
We do love our Travis Banks, Kiwi. But he had a match against Travis Banks as a preview of Worlds Collide, and he lost to Travis Banks. Nick, I'm going to back off. What were your thoughts? What was the logic behind Ryker losing after having a dominant performance in a tag match last week?
This really didn't do favors for either guy, in my opinion. I understand what they're doing for trying to build up Worlds Collide here, but it really didn't do either guy any favors. One, nobody at Full Sail really is going to know who Travis Banks is unless they're watching, unless they've been watching the Indies for the last 10 years or unless they've been watching NXT UK. Right. So when they come in and they take on the big boy, who the Forgotten Sons are on just one of the biggest losing streaks of all time.
Bad.
Here, why are you going to hand Jackson Ryker, somebody who should be? I think the Forgotten Sons should be booked pretty much better than they have been in the tag team, and it looked like they were kind of going that direction when we had the tournament earlier this year, but then they've just flattened
I'll
again.
agree with you in that I'm definitely confused about where the Forgotten Sons stand and what their intentions are with them. Are they an enhancement team? Are they just kind of meant to be mid-carders? Like, what is your deal with them? And decisions like this back that up. Jackson Riker is booked as this world ender, or he looks like a world ender, and he's occasionally booked as he's the big scary guy member of the Forgotten Sons. But then he goes out to a sudden kick from Travis Banks and a quick roll up, and it's like, wait, what?
I mean, he had busted him open. He was throwing him around like a rag doll, and he rolls him up.
WrestleMania main eventer. I mean,
listen, I wasn't butthurt about it. I was just confused.
Right.
We love Travis Banks. This is not the opponent he should have had to preview his abilities for Worlds Collide.
See, whereas I think Travis Banks is a made man now. He just beat Jackson Riker like he was billed as a buzzsaw, and he just beat a big dude like that with the buzzsaw style kick. All right, now he's probably got some people's attention, and that may have been the idea is going into Worlds Collide. Hey, remember Travis Banks? He's that dude that took out Jackson Riker. Maybe that's the idea, and Jackson will get his revenge at Worlds Collide. You know what I mean? Maybe. But now we're paying attention because that was surprising. Had Riker beaten him, we'd be like, yeah, okay, no big deal, right?
Good point.
So maybe that's the idea here is.
It is definitely a bigger deal that Banks beat Riker than if Riker would have beaten Banks.
Exactly. And,
totally.
And Riker did, pop right back up, and it was he kicked out right after 3, so they did keep him looking relatively strong.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Dakota Kai and Mia Yim having their match, a little grudge match from Dakota Kai taking out Mia Yim before TakeOver War Games. And this was nice little hard-hitting affair with Mia Yim losing only because Dakota was doing that slimy heel stuff, took off the top turnbuckle, and that had Mia's face go right into it, and Mia lost the match as a result. But it was not over then, Nick. It was not done. It was a fun little match, but the fun really happened afterwards where they fought into the crowd. Mia Yim not letting Dakota Kai go with this one. Fought into the crowd, over to the tech area, and dear God, Mia Yim suplexed Dakota Kai off the top of the tech area onto a couple of tables, and it did not go well. Dakota Kai, back her head, came down on the edge of one of the tables, split her open. 8 staples later, apparently she's okay. Was bleeding all over the floor. But that looked nasty. That looked nasty, was nasty. It was awesome. I dug it. I didn't like Dakota Kai actually really getting hurt, but that's what I want to see between these two ladies. That's what I want to see Mia Yim doing. She should be out there not accepting losses and out just whooping ass.
This felt personal. This was, as it should have been.
Yep.
Dakota Kai took out Mia Yim before War Games. We know that now, and after the heel turn and everything, so she finally got her chance to whoop Dakota Kai's ass, and boy, did she. And it was fantastic. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, same here. I would love to see more of this. It looks like it will continue. I don't think that was the end. I think that Dakota will come back looking for revenge on Mia now that Mia's got revenge on Dakota. Keep the cycle going. Loving it. There were some people saying the table spot was too dangerous. And anytime you do a spot like this, it's dangerous. There's always there's always a possibility of something going wrong. So It ain't ballet. And it could have been way worse. This was executed, I thought, could Mia have aimed it a little bit better? Sure, but it's not for us to handicap that because that's just a tough spot to pull off. Yeah. So
I'm not going to do that. No.
Yeah. Luckily Dakota seems to be okay, all things considered.
Yep.
We also had Breezango coming out to a very strange intro where they were doctors or something. They had a match with the Singh brothers, who are no longer hanging out with Jinder Mahal, much to the benefit of their careers. And
the Bollywood Young Bucks is what I've dubbed them.
Bollywood Bucks. And this was, I don't know. What did you think about this match, Nick? I was of two minds of it.
I was not expecting much and enjoyed the hell out of it.
All right.
And especially because I'm a huge Fandango mark. Excuse me. Fandango.
Thank you. Pronounce it right.
just seeing him murder both of them with just Falcon Arrow after Falcon Arrow after Falcon Arrow at the end, over the ropes, everywhere. Fandango looked like a monster at the end of this match. As far as the entrance goes, I always get a good chuckle just out of their fun, kitschy entrances that they do. I was like, is this Grey's Anatomy or what are we watching? Oh, no, it's Breezango. Okay, cool. Look, this on paper, most people would just kind of go, oh, God, okay. Just roll their eyes and be like, fine. It was really good. These guys were all over the place. Even the Singh brothers, the Bollywood Bucks, looked fantastic.
Yeah, they can really go. Like they didn't have a chance to do that a lot when they were getting murdered by Randy Orton in that feud with Jinder, but they can really go. They can actually wrestle. It was also interesting to see Breezango be those two guys were going at them. Like this was not just a happy, fun little match. This was like they were trying to kill those Bollywood boys. And I was intrigued by that. I'm like, okay, are we trying to add a serious aspect to Breezango or trying to make them feel like more legit? Because the tag division is so slim right now, and we need to like, even though they have kind of a goofy entrance and a goofy gimmick, we need to feel like they can be serious in the ring. Is that the intention here? So that was something I was just thinking of as I was watching this. Like an example, like to me, one thing that is a bit of a trope with NXT is everyone's a little bit edgy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one's just out and out cartoon goofy like you have on main roster. Like even if you're a little bit silly, you have that edge to you. And I think they're kind of going that way with Breezango a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm not mad at.
I would love to see Fandango have a legit, of course I would. I would love to see him have a legit singles run. I don't know what Tyler Breeze is up to these days. He's kind of hit or miss. Coming back to NXT was awesome and then faded away.
Well, both of them, it's kind of like, where has Breezango really been? And maybe this is their way of getting them back on our radar, and they have some plans for them. I kind of hope so.
Yeah. I love both those dudes. So anything
don't bring them down here and do
nothing is fantastic.
Yeah. Finally, Bianca Belair and Caden Cross. I like seeing more time from Caden Cross on TV. That's a good sign. I think she could be one of their next breakout stars if she's tightens everything up a little bit. What do you think their intentions are with Belair? Where are they going with her?
This is tough.
Because it's a really packed division right now.
I think they've moved on.
Oh, but if so, why is she having matches where she's like exhibition matches?
Having an exhibition match with Caden Cross. All the other girls that were going after Shayna are still up there going after Shayna until Rhea Ripley shows up, and then Bianca is. All the other girls are still up there.
May I postulate a theory?
You're my guest.
Okay, so you asked why is she having this exhibition match with Caden Cross. This is still developmental. As much as they say it's a third brand, it is still developmental. And
can it be anymore though? Because they're live on TV on the network.
Yes, it can. In the same way that main roster WWE is also developmental for new talent that's coming in for main roster. You still have to learn the ropes of how to work main roster. So if you have someone like Caden Cross who's been at the PC for a few years now, and you're trying to get her up on TV, and you're trying to get someone like Bianca Belair to remain on TV, then one of the things you can do is have Belair, who's an established star, have a match with Caden Cross. It puts Caden Cross on people's radar. It keeps Bianca Belair in people's minds. It helps Caden Cross work with someone who's higher up on the card to figure out how it works how the matches work in NXT, get some TV time. You can utilize both people. Bianca Belair is going to still be on that higher level. Caden's going to be in that lower level. It's establishing new people. It's keeping the people that are there in our minds. I think that it's actually a useful tactic for them to have this, where you can have someone who's more, at this point in Bianca, a bit more of a veteran might be too extravagant of a word to use, but someone who's been around a little bit longer, kind of helping elevate someone who's new, bringing up some more talent. So I think that's the mentality here is we're not really doing anything else with Bianca. Let's utilize her position. We've already made her be this high. Let's utilize that position to bring up somebody else.
On house shows, yes. On the road tour, yes.
On a 2-hour NXT?
Listen, you're going from Angel Garza and Lio Rush at the top of the show to the triple threat that we had as the main event. And in the middle, there were some really good mid-card things happening, but this felt like it was a training match. Even though we love both those girls, right?
But you talk about house shows and the tour shows and everything. The tour shows, they will bring along some people that aren't really on TV because they're trying to get them ready for TV. There's different strata going on here. So, yeah, having someone on like, okay, hey, this week you're going to be on TV. Oh God, okay, I better be ready for that. I got to make sure that I'm getting the experience so that I can be on TV. Then I'm on TV. I'm getting the experience from being on TV, getting the experience from the house show circuit. So you're getting all of these weapons in your arsenal from trying these things out as someone who's new. Yeah. And working with someone like Bianca Belair on TV is giving Caden a little bit of experience with being on TV, not just house shows.
Here's the thing I'll grant you to kind of wrap this up here is that I feel like Caden Cross could actually be a main event big deal one day. I can't say the same thing about a Vanessa Bourne, about an Aaliyah, about some of the other lower women down there that are also getting TV time from time to time. So seeing Caden Cross get a match with Bianca Belair makes her feel like a big deal, introduces her to people that may have forgotten about her. Standout performances in the Mae Young Classics, all kinds of good. Go look up Caden Cross if you weren't aware of who she was. She's fantastic. So, oh boy.
Well, that's what I kind of think they're doing with Xia Li too. Is it's just on a higher level. She's further along. So.
That's the fun thing about doing live stream is you get some action in the chat every now and then.
Oh, look, we have a troll.
Yep.
All right, well, Mr. Nick, that is it for NXT. Without any further ado, let's go and head on over to the main roster and talk about Friday Night Smackdown.
Well, Friday Night Smackdown was a bit of a mixed bag for me. I'm not sure. Like we're still less than 24 hours removed from that show. But I'm still kind of processing what was going on, knowing that we've got a pay-per-view, one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, less than 24 hours from now. So I'm trying to understand what was going on with the show that happened last night and what's going to happen on Sunday night, because I want to be excited about TLC.
Right.
But I'm not excited about it yet.
They're not making it easy for you. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I got us talking about the whole Roman Reigns, Corbin, Dolph, New Day thing first, because this was an ongoing angle. You had Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler coming out at the top of the show, laughing about how they covered Roman Reigns in dog food last week because he's the big dog. Get it? And saying, oh, yeah, well, we have all of the entrances covered tonight, so there's no way Roman Reigns is getting in this arena tonight. Ha, 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 ha. Out come New Day, specifically Xavier and Big E, specifically Kofi and Big E, because Xavier's on the sidelines. And they say, I don't like what you're saying about Roman Reigns. You're kind of a douche. And long story short, we end up with Kofi versus Baron Corbin in the main event of the evening. Fast forward to that match. Kofi and Baron go at it for a little bit before some shenaniganry. And Dolph gets involved. Everything falls apart. Big E gets involved. And Big E hops in the ring, grabs a mic after the DQ, and says, no, it ain't ending there. You want to fight? Let's fight. Let's have a tag match. Kofi and Big E versus Dolph and Baron Corbin. All right. So then we move on to that match. And then at the end of that, so what is it? The Revival come out. There's a whole kerfuffle. Roman Reigns ends up coming out to clean up the whole mess. Ends up choke slamming Dolph Ziggler off the top of a ladder onto one of the tables, the announce tables. And we go home with Baron Corbin looking scared on the ramp. Dolph Ziggler dead on the announce tables. And Roman Reigns, the big dog, posing up, having gotten a modicum of revenge for last week. We also had set up the fact that we're having Revival and New Day having a tag match at the show as well a little bit. So there was some build for TLC in all of this, Nick.
Yes.
To counter your point, there was some build here, but is this the kind of build that's going to make us go home to a pay-per-view excited? Were you like, I can't wait to see this Roman Reigns Baron Corbin match now. I can't wait to see this New Day Revival match now. Like, was that how you felt going home here, or did they miss the mark?
I think where my head was at was people are going to end up getting thrown through tables and ladders. And I'm okay with that, whatever the circumstances might be. So,
Right. So you're happy with that? Because, okay, another question. Second week in a row that we've had somebody handcuffed and strung up on the turnbuckles. Last week it was Roman. He got dog fooded. This week they had Kofi at the end of the match strung up there. It's what made Roman come out finally. What did you feel about the visual of that? We okay? This is just wrestling, or was that a little bit awkward?
I mean, we did it last week to set the precedent with Roman. I'm not going to go down that social justice rabbit hole, right? But,
good.
I mean,
I'm topics that were on Twitter that I put as a question in our notes.
I mean,
if you want to brush it aside, I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, I'm not brushing it aside, but I don't think it was a thing like you were Twitter's trying to make it a thing. So at the same time, it was fine. And what it was the trigger point to bring out the big dog. It just full Super Roman. We got full-fledged Super Roman.
I wonder if that has anything that's indicative for TLC as a result. This whole thing was kind of convoluted to have New Day and Corbin and Ziggler all involved with a couple different feuds, but I don't know. I thought at the end of the day it worked fine. I'm not any more excited for the TLC matches than I was prior. It's TLC. People go through tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my.
Yeah.
We also had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross have a match with Fire and Desire. Bliss and Cross were in the gorilla position talking about the match. Fire and Desire in the ring. Fire and Desire run to the back, attack them, and drag them out to the ring. We have a fairly quick match. Nikki Cross pins Sonya Deville. Did this have any relevance to anything, Nick? Like, do we think we're getting an ongoing feud with these four? And if so, where does this end up? Or is this just a way to fill some time?
No, this was a complete waste of time, to be completely honest, as it was before. I mean, at least last week you were getting some kind of fire out of Mandy Rose, and it looked like she was going to beat the shit out of Alexa Bliss. And frankly, she did. She beat the hell out of Alexa Bliss. And then somehow along the way ended up getting one over on Mandy Rose, and here we go again. We're back to just kind of making a mockery out of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. They're never going to amount to anything if you don't at least get them some kind of victory.
You don't think that they've amounted to anything? I mean, they're having this feud on TV with Bliss and Cross. That's not nothing. I mean, it was a short match. I'm playing a bit of devil's advocate here. Like, it's not nothing. They are getting some time. I'm entertained by these four women working together. I thought the short match they had was fairly entertaining. I thought it was a bit insulting they gave them so little time. I would have liked more time. I would like more time on this. I want more stakes. I want more time on this. I guess that's where I'm kind of coming from.
I want a reason to care. That's exactly.
Right.
So
give me more. Give me more of this, not just a quick little 5-minute match. I even like the conceit of them attacking them in Gorilla. Yeah. Like, made me pay attention and sit up. Speaking of making me sit up and pay attention, Heavy Machinery had a match with Cesaro and Nakamura, which those are words I never thought I'd say 2 years ago. That's a wild combination. Started off with Heavy Machinery in the back trying to give a Christmas present to Sami Zayn. Sami was their Secret Santa because, we do Secret Santa in WWE apparently. And this was I thought this was hilarious. Sami opens up the package and it's a Christmas ham, and of course he's offended because he's a vegetarian and it's flesh of a living being goes off on it. They start getting the Heavy Machinery starts getting mad at Sami. Sami starts getting mad at them. Cesaro and Shinsuke show up. There's a nice little confrontation, and it ends with the heels walking off and Cesaro taking the ham like, I'm not gonna let this ham go to waste, and then throwing it on the ground. At which point Otis starts shaking and turns bright red, as I did too, because I was suddenly very hungry for ham.
Right.
It was a funny little segment. I mean, just, fluff, nothing, typical WWE backstage. But I was entertained by it. And then the match we had was really entertaining, cut and dry WWE to the core match. But goddamn if I wasn't entertained by this match. Cesaro doing a lot of work putting over Heavy Machinery. Nakamura even putting over Otis quite a bit, getting ragdolled by him a bunch. Tucker looking great. Otis having a lot of being very entertaining to the crowd. Tucker and Otis out there to entertain the crowd. Cesaro and Nakamura out there to be the heels and spoil the fun. And at the end, you had Nakamura deliver a really nice looking Kinshasa to Tucker and put him down for the 1, 2, 3. If you're gonna have a WWE match, to me, in my opinion, this was basically how you do it. This was dyed in the wool WWE match, but it's also why WWE matches have been successful for decades. Is that damn, if you're in the live crowd, you were entertained by this match. You were absolutely entertained by this match. So, yeah, I don't know. Was this an example of how to make something out of nothing? Because this is nothing. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
there was nothing to this.
At the end of the day, what are we really hoping for here? There's a lot of people that didn't like the stuff behind the scenes or behind the curtain with the ham. I laughed like, how dare you do that to a Christmas ham? That was the kind of stuff that
I was there. He got me.
I chuckle at that.
I got the heel heat on that. Yeah.
It's Cesaro especially just kind of just, man. I'm gonna go. They're vegan assholes, but I'm gonna eat the hell out of this ham. Nah, and just smashes it. And it could have put a big old stomp on it. That would have really just sealed the deal for me. Just do an elbow drop or something on the ham. If you're gonna go there, go all the way.
If you haven't seen back in the Indies. With Cesaro attacking the stairs. There's one time he's getting into the ring and he slips on the stairs and he starts attacking the stairs back. Do that with the ham. That would have been brilliant.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, no, this was honestly, this was my match of the night. I was so wildly entertained by this, and there was just nothing to it. Everything, all of my marquee sensibilities should have made me hate this match. And man, there's no stakes. Man, there's nothing to it. God damn it! I was just too entertained by it.
It wasn't steak; it was ham.
Yeah.
Here's the thing I will say.
Oh my god!
You guys know how
dad joke.
You guys know how I feel about singles wrestlers for me. What in the world? I know. I'm going to preface this by saying I know Braun Strowman's injured. He was lined up to go get the Intercontinental off of Shinsuke Nakamura. I know, but
not cleared.
Why is the Intercontinental Champion getting into a pseudo comedy tag team match with Heavy Machinery? Can you not find somebody else? Could it not have been Sami Zayn himself?
I should be mad about that, but it was so fun. I didn't care, Nick.
I love Otis getting kicked in the belly and him just
no selling. Jared selling.
Said it last night. He's Otising up.
Yes.
He just starts hulking up when he gets kicked in the stomach. I think it's brilliant.
He's beefing up. All that steak is protecting him.
And I don't care what anybody says. Otis Dozovich in a midriff cutoff T-shirt is life. It makes me happy. It just makes me smile. It's everything. You guys, I have been marking out about Heavy Machinery for the last 2 years since they were in NXT and they first appeared. I think they're fantastic. They're going to go a long way. The faciest of faces. They've got so much potential.
They've already gone a long way.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. They're the Bushwhackers if the Bushwhackers could wrestle a modern crazy style. I'll go so far as to say they're actually way more athletic than the Bushwhackers. And the Bushwhackers were a lot of fun and they're good technical guys. No disrespect to the Bushwhackers. Those guys were great technical wrestlers before they became a comedy, gimmick in WWE. Yeah. Otis and Tucker are next level in terms of athleticism and ability. And they got trained real good by the PC.
Yep.
So, but they're another comedy gimmick like that. They're just really, really good at their jobs.
Otis, most people forget, was NCAA champ for the all-state Wisconsin. Something for amateur.
Tucker's no joke either, as I recall.
Tucker was also big-time NCAA D1 amateur wrestling.
Yep.
So, yeah, there you go. There's a huge pedigree of wrestling in those dudes. But I'm also really enjoying all the comedy stuff they're doing. So I don't know where I balance that out. There's got to be a point where they get some titles and to legitimize it. Because until they do that, they're going to stay in this stigma that they're in, comedy jobbers. And it's a lot of fun to watch. But we've seen what's...
you consider it a stigma, but that's, if you're the WWE, Vince, for example, would consider that an honorable position. These are my go-to comedy guys, right? Them, I was about to say Private Party, the Street Profits, these are the guys he goes to. If you want a comedy segment, all right, I'm going to go to these guys. They're going to go out there. They're going to make the crowd happy. But the problem is, it can be a fickle crowd. You have another tag match with Gable and Ali come out against the Revival, and the crowd's.
And I don't know why, because this was so much awesome to watch.
To be clear, by the end of this match, the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." But at the start of this match, the crowd did not care. Maybe it was because of where it was in the show. I'm not sure. But it was definitely a bit of a snoozy crowd at the beginning. Maybe they just were so horrified by them calling Chad Gable Shorty G that they couldn't really react to it. I don't know. But also, Ali's a hometown boy.
Oh, that's
this
right.
is hometown. He's up the street. Which, of course, meant he lost. He had to lose.
Well, it's the Revival. They got a title match on Sunday. They're not going to.
This is kind of what. Okay. No, you're exactly right, Nick. And this is where I was going with this. In this day and age, when you it's a tried and true WWE trope. Have the hometown person lose. In this case, have them lose so that the team of these two teams, only one has a title match on Sunday. Yeah. Get that team the heat by beating the hometown boy. Does that still work? Or do people just shut down nowadays if you're a hometown crowd and you just want to be entertained, and this heel team that's got a match on Sunday beats your hometown boy? Are you now more excited to watch the show on Sunday because of that? Or are you just going to shut down for the rest of the show? Oh, screw you, Vince, and shut down.
No.
You know what I mean? Is that booking logic no longer applicable?
I mean, I think it's us super marks that do podcasts that really understand all of that dynamic that you just.
But I'm saying
laid out.
It's a subconscious thing, though. That's what I'm saying is does the audience that's not thinking about all these other aspects, that's just there to watch the show and have fun, if you're trying to be if WWE is there to manipulate the crowd to do something, right, which is the idea behind these storylines initially, is feed off of emotions to create business, right? I'm going to make these people mad at this guy, this heel over here, so that people want to see him get his ass kicked at the pay-per-view on Sunday, and they're willing to pay me $50 to watch this guy get his ass kicked. That's the logic.
Right.
We're going to have the hometown boy, Ali, get pinned by the Revival, so people here want to pay $9.99 for the WWE Network to watch the Revival lose on Sunday. If that's still the logic that we have going on, right? Is that logic still effective? And that has nothing to do with what you or I think. Is that working on this crowd, or is that making the crowd on this evening at this show care less because they're now aware that this is all scripted and it's being done? If it's not conscious, like that, they know that it's being done to manipulate them, they still feel like, oh, well, okay, you didn't want to give us that win because you didn't want us to feel good. Like they still know that it's scripted. So they know that was a decision, not that the Revival are beating their boy, even though, if they get really caught up in it, then that's supposedly what they're supposed to be feeling. But that was a decision by WWE to have their hometown boy lose.
How many people think?
So is it shutting them off?
How many people do you think came to that show specifically last night to watch either Chad Gable or Ali?
But that's kind of my point, though. I guess
that's a very small number.
Isn't that? But that's kind of my point, though. This is a match that they're just going to kind of watch at a surface level. They're not going to deeply invest in. So if that's something that's just kind of flowing past them like a river, they're not going to internalize it the same way like a Roman Reigns match where they're going to get more invested in it, right? So it's more easy for them to shut down and not care about it because they already care about it less.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think all of the stuff that you were saying about the logic around it to get the heat onto the Revival, I don't think anybody was there to see them in order to get that heat onto the Revival. Is it probably more, it probably worked better on TV than it did for the I'm going to do air quotes and say hometown crowd for them beating Ali and Chad Gable. But they've got a title match on Sunday. They need all the wins they can get. It's the Revival as well. You're not going to have
Agreed.
Chad Gable and Ali roll in as two singles guys forming an ad hoc tag team beating the Revival of all teams. So they're going to have a fantastic match with the New Day tomorrow night. It's going to be awesome. TLC match. Can't wait. Who cares? Yeah. They're going to beat the absolute hell out of each other. What happened on Friday night, I've already forgotten about, but it was very enjoyable to watch. Those four guys go at each other.
I'm very much looking forward to New Day and Revival as well. That's in a ladder match, Nick. In a ladder match. We also had Bayley backstage getting interviewed. She had some strong words for Lacey Evans. They may have a match on Sunday. We don't know. It has not been officially announced yet, but it has been speculated. She gets interrupted by Elias and Dana Brooke, who are off having a little tete-a-tete over on the side. Elias sings a song insulting Bayley. Bayley stands there and does nothing, but as Dana laughs, she says, "Oh, you think it's so funny? Why don't we go have a match?"
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, and then just kind of stares at Elias and goes, "It's a stupid song. Stupid song." And she goes out and has a nice little match with Dana Brooke, ends up beating her, of course, and that is that. What? I don't have a lot to say about this, Nick. It just kind of was.
Yep.
But
the song was amazing.
Again,
I'll say that. I really enjoyed that.
The song was fine, but the problem was Bayley's reaction to it. She just kind of like moped about it.
Right.
And again, her heel character just doesn't have any spark to it whatsoever. She's a wet rag. And that's not engaging as a character. Had she slapped Elias or broken his guitar or done something vicious or violent to get back at him for this song, aside from being like, well, I'm going to beat up your little groupie over here. And even in that match, like we've been comparing like Dakota Kai, right? That was the one that when Dakota turned heel, you said, I'm worried that she's going to be an ineffectual heel just like Bayley is. And she was not. She was actually a very effective heel because she's vicious. She seems like she's serious about stuff. Bayley doesn't seem that way. She's got no spark. She's got no fire. And this just underlined that.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Am I crazy?
Nope. I just don't have that much to say about it either. I love seeing Dana Brooke have a match with the champion. Let's get that right. You just saw Dana Brooke, regardless of it was a good 5-minute little match. It was what it was. We're seeing more and more. Dana Brooke's got some activity on social media. Let's not talk about what it is. It's irrelevant really, but she's got some fire. She's got some attention. Put her on TV. Put her in a match with the champion. Okay.
Yeah, no. Obviously, Dana Brooke has done her time, has gotten back over with management, so good for her. Yep. She's hot right now. That's awesome. Glad to see that. But stop making Bayley look like an idiot. Just crazy. Well, finally, Nick, we got to talk about my favorite stuff on SmackDown right now. The stuff I think is the most engaging and something that I was not ready for them to go where they went with it, frankly. The Miz had an interview in his beautiful L.A. house way out in Calabasas. Is that where he is?
They moved out there,
Huge-ass $6 million house in Calabasas. And he was talking about his relationship with Daniel Bryan, why he's kind of stepping up with the Fiend, et cetera, et cetera. And for the most part, it was fairly straightforward with some really, what I thought was really nice character work, where he said, look, Daniel Bryan and I don't see eye to eye. We don't like each other very much, but I respect him, et cetera, et cetera. Bray Wyatt freaked me out when he came from my family. I can't stop thinking about that picture of him with him in the picture with my family. Like I've got to take him out because he's messing with my family. You don't do that. In the middle of the interview, you hear Maurice start calling for Miz. He runs over to her, breaks the interview, goes over, and they're looking at the baby monitor, and the Fiend starts popping up on the baby monitor, and looks like little Sky.
Monroe Sky.
Monroe Sky is in the crib with all of the puppet animals from the Firefly Funhouse. So they run upstairs. There's a red light coming from her room, but luckily there's also a camera crew in there, so we get to see everything inside the room.
It's handy to have those
as they run it. It's very handy to have a camera crew in there the entire time.
There was also discussion last night about how Miz shoved Maurice into the room first, and I'm like, guys, it's Hollywood. It's called the point person in a shot. Yeah, Miz basically just pulls the thing open, Maurice runs through, and they're like, he shoved her in. I'm like, no, it just guided her in so that when the camera flips to the other angle, the other perspective, Maurice is front frame, right?
Yes.
So all
he's not shoving his wife into danger.
No, he's not shoving his wife into the fire.
That was when he was a heel. When he was a heel. He's not a heel. He's not doing that anymore. Hollywood. But we get into the room, and there's little Monroe Sky in the crib with just this creepy little doll with a Fiend face on it, which was, by the way, really well done. It was creepy as hell, that doll.
I also have a theory about this, by the way.
And props to Monroe Sky. She got her daddy's genes because that kid was 2 years old? She was acting her ass off. She was crying. She was pointing at the doll. It was like, what is that? That was like
Maurice slapped it out of his hands. Get that out of here. This was all so well done, in my opinion.
And the kid followed, she followed the toy. It went down the ground, and she was looking at the ground like, I don't like it. Like, that kid was on point. I was very impressed. But anyway, so that aside.
I have a theory about the doll.
All right. Well, let me wrap this up.
Okay.
So yeah, that ends with them leaving the room. They're very disturbed. Bray Wyatt has a Firefly Funhouse segment where he says, "Hey, we're going to play with Miz on this weekend." He had a couple other nice little tidbits. I'm gonna see if I have them written down here. Where he said Daniel Bryan is still with him. I think referring to the Fiend. Interesting. He was saying that Miz's care for Daniel Bryan left him exposed. He says, snitches get stitches. This kind of stuff. So really interesting little detail works with this Firefly Funhouse. I was completely engaged, Nick.
Yeah.
The character work, the sense of history between Miz and Daniel Bryan, including even showing the clip from the old Talking Smack episode, the feeling of history, the feeling of Miz's real life, like blurring the kayfabe and reality, all of the little details that Bray Wyatt threw into his promo. Details. Loved it all. Yep. Please, would you speculate on what you think is happening?
And I cannot take all the credit for this. Indie Gal in the chat said it before I could type it out. Not today in the chat, but in our live chat for Smackdown last night. I think that's Daniel Bryan's hair on the doll.
Oh!
Tell me that doesn't mess you up.
Oh!
Did you just get the Chili Willies too?
I got two. I got two in a row. Damn. Oh, that's I'll be damned if WWE doesn't sometimes do this where they give you only so much to work with, and then they're like, and I know it's just because they're genuinely not putting that much thought into it, and we sit here on the sidelines and we fill in all the blanks, and they know we do that, and they just let us. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys fill in the blanks, and then they kind of pick up on some of that sometimes and run with it. For example, how they've now picked up on this whole, when Bray gets the Fiend gets his hands on people, he changes them somehow, right? They've now incorporated that into this storyline a bit, where both Seth and Finn, they kind of hint that when Bray gets his hands on you, he brings out the dark side. And that, that just kind of came out organically. This is the kind of stuff that, if they hint at it enough and they never really define it, we can have this in our own little mental kayfabe.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but from now on, that doll's hair will be Daniel Bryan's hair that the Fiend ripped out. Because that's some good horse shit right there.
Yeah, it is.
That's
good shit.
That's good shit. Oh.
Woo!
Oh, all right. Well, with that, I'm gonna let my goosies rest, Nick. My goodness, I'm loving the Fiend Miz Daniel Bryan stuff. Loving it. But Nick, there is a lot more to love because we have to give our TLC pick'ems.
Well, we're gonna do this fast because surprise, surprise, we're running behind. TLC is likely going to kick off on the pre-show with Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy, unfortunately, and it makes my insides boil to have to say that.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Oh, geez. I hadn't even thought about this. I'm going to say Aleister Black.
Got to be Aleister Black. Otherwise, what the hell's he been doing sitting in a room for 6 months?
Maybe he has to lose here to, finally get some competition, and then this continues because he finally finds a guy who can stand up to him.
I don't know.
I'm still picking Aleister Black. Viking Raiders versus. It's an open challenge for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Who do you have? Are Viking Raiders going to retain, no matter who it is?
Yes, I'll say that.
All right. Here's a thing, Nick. It's an open challenge. We've had the Viking Raiders be very dominant recently. What if, because there's someone I noticed who doesn't have a match on this show, what if AOP comes out and wins the tag titles.
I'd be down with that. I'd take that point loss in a heartbeat.
Okay. I am going to go out on a limb here and say the Viking Raiders do not retain. Well, you know what? No. This is tough.
I'm not ready for them to have a match yet. They just turned.
I'm still gun shy.
I'm still
gun shy from Survivor Series. I'm still gun shy from that.
It's left an impression on you. But no,
it has.
It's not a major pay-per-view. I've had my moment. We've got to wait till at least WrestleMania for me to win anything again. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say AOP comes out and wins this.
Right.
And frankly, when it's OC, they come out and they lose. I'm gonna kill myself.
I've changed him. He has been changed.
I've been tainted. Yeah, you're like the Fiend of Pick'ems. Who do you think is answering this call?
I think it's going to be AOP.
You think AOP is coming out, and you're still saying that Viking Raiders are going to retain?
Yes.
You're a strange, strange man. New Day versus the Revival in a ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Do the New Day retain, or does Revival pick them back up?
I mean, are we just ping-ponging the championships around now with the tag team?
That's my question. Yeah.
So, it makes more sense for New Day to retain here, but the Revival, and I got to pick the Revival. I think the Revival are going to win here in a
So you're saying yes,
in a stipulation ladder match type of event. It's probably going to be Kofi Kingston doing some kind of crazy high spot off of a ladder. But I mean, I always err on the side of the Revival, man. I think they're
your boys.
They're my boys. They're one of the best in the world, easily.
Yeah. Rusev versus Bobby Lashley in a tables match that all of us cannot wait for.
Yeah.
Can't wait for this match. We've been building up to this for months, and we are all so excited to see this match happen. Hopefully, Lana will get a promo before this, or she could just be on commentary for this match. Maybe that would be awesome. I'd be so excited for that. Nick, just kill me right now.
Yeah.
Just kill me.
Rusev's winning.
Rusev. Okay, you're saying Rusev.
Don't care is an option, I guess.
I am actually see. This is a tough one for me because I think this feud is going to continue, much to all of our chagrin. I feel Rusev has gotten the upper hand up until now, and I feel like Lashley will actually take this one because it's just a matter of putting a guy through a table. You're not beating him; he's putting him through a table. So I think that it will be Lashley picking this up so that this feud can continue and make us suffer all the way into the new decade.
Please, God.
Charlotte, no. Charlotte and Becky versus the Kabuki Warriors. Here's an interesting one. Do Charlotte and Becky pick up the tag team championships, the women's tag team championships from the Kabuki Warriors at this point?
If they do, they drop them right back to them on Monday night. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
You render the Kabuki Warriors useless without those titles right now. And they just got a song. They just really hit their stride in their gimmick. You've got Asuka doing the mist. All kinds of. Do Charlotte and Becky win here? Are they ever gonna this? Feels so out of place, but I'm not mad at it. I'll watch these four girls in a TLC match. Is it a TLC match? Is there a stipulation with this one?
It is a TLC.
It is
match,
a full
yes.
TLC match. Okay.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, give me these four ladies beating the hell out of each other with tabled ladders and chairs. I'm all in, but I feel like it would be a disservice to take them off the Kabuki Warriors at this point. But on the other side, I'm going Charlotte and Becky want the checkbox on their resume of getting the tag titles, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It's tough. This is a really tough one. I think it's going to be, if not the match of the night, then certainly one of them. I'm looking forward to these four women being given all these implements and going nuts with them. I mean, my God.
I said last week I think it should main event. And we're going to make it a prop bet, too.
It's right there at the bottom. We got this. Don't worry. It's coming. The question is do you think WWE is just going to go with FU, Charlotte gets strapped, or are we going to get the Kabuki Warriors actually pick up a major victory here?
I almost want to say there's more story here that's going to be a betrayal or something, or not working together well in Charlotte and Becky that's going to lead to Charlotte and Becky for the title for the Raw Women's Championship, and that's more where I'm headed. Here you go. I'm going to say Kabuki Warriors retain. I'll go out.
Okay.
Everything in my head is telling me that Charlotte and Becky want that check mark, but something's telling me that there's something in my gut's telling me that Charlotte and Becky have a bigger future beyond the women's tag team championships.
I hope you're right. I'm going to pick Charlotte and Becky just to be obtuse because I'm flipping a coin on this one.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to take the other one just because you're picking Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah.
So Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. It's going to be Mr. Rogers Bray Wyatt, not The Fiend. So it leaves him open to potentially lose here. Who do you think's picking up the win here?
I'm inclined to say not a finish. I'm inclined to say that this is one of those that something
like Hell in a Cell finish.
Well,
I agree. It's going to be a storyline
Daniel
finish.
Bryan, you got all kinds of, you got the family hints that are circling. There's all kinds of stuff going around this that almost to the point where you like, do you even care about the match? You just want the drama. So part of me says Miz beats Funhouse Bray and shows that he's fallible as sweater vest wearing Funhouse Bray.
Right.
But there's a lot of speculation around like what the weak spot is of is it the Fiend? Is it Bray? Is Bray the mastermind of the Fiend? Is he a puppeteer? I'm kind of just sitting back, rubbing my hands and go, oh my God, I can't wait to see what happens here. But
yeah.
if I'm picking,
it's a storyline match. It's going to be for the storyline.
I'm going to pick Miz.
Okay. I actually am going to as well because I have a bit more of a feeling that Miz will get the technical win, even if he doesn't get the moral victory at the end, like the Fiend somehow flips it on him or Daniel Bryan comes out and attacks him. Evil Daniel's hairless Bryan comes out and attacks him or whatever it is. I have the feeling that Miz picks up the win here. It's a non-title match.
Right.
Why not make it a title match if Miz is going to lose? So, yeah, I think Miz is going to pick up the victory here, but I think ultimately we're going to get another big look into what's going on with the Fiend. I'm psyched for this. And I'm also curious how Bray is going to enter as normal Bray, not as Fiend Bray.
Yeah. So I think
we all know
that's
Fiend,
a good point,
Fiend
too.
entrance is one of the greatest entrances in wrestling right now. But how does regular Bray enter?
Maybe ever. It's one of the best ones I've ever seen. But I'll say this is, I think I've said a few weeks back that this was all about getting Miz and Daniel Bryan back at each other. And could it potentially be the thing that messed up the Miz to get him back on the Healy side down the road to get back his Intercontinental title? Or could he somehow just figure out how to go get... I think that's what long-term...
You're obsessed with Miz getting the IC title.
Those records. Yeah, I absolutely want to get those records.
It's coming eventually.
Yeah.
It's coming eventually.
Yeah.
Keep it in your pants, Nick.
Yeah, I know.
Keep it in your pants. Which is, by the way, something I meant to say earlier during the Miz, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt segment. I feel like they put it back in their pants a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah.
They put it back in their pants. I'm happy with that.
Yep.
Next we've got Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin in a TLC match. Ooh-ah. Can't wait for this one. So excited. Who's winning here?
If Baron Corbin beats Roman Reigns here, it might be my surprise of the year. But in a weird twist, I can see them doing it. Roman has been losing, but they've turned him back into Super Roman again.
Yeah,
and he's not doing that anymore. Roman Reigns easily.
Roman Reigns. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So finally, Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin or Charlotte Becky versus Kabuki Warriors for the main event. This is a plus or minus one, Nick. So if you get this wrong, it's a -1.
Okay,
you don't have to participate in this. This is a...
No, we do. We're doing it.
Okay.
I'll say that, and I'll say this and back it up by saying that I think it should. Charlotte and Becky versus the Kabukis should main event. I have no reason to invest in Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin at this point. Great. It's two dudes beating the shit out of each other with TLC. Dolph Ziggler's going to be out there. Security, the King's Court is going to be out there. Or all the King's Men.
Oh, it's going to be a whole mess. It's going
to be a disaster. I'll be surprised if it
Robert
even
Roode is going to be out. Oh, wait, no, he's not. That's right. He's somewhere else because he took too much Rogaine or whatever it was. Who knows? But got popped for something.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I have a feeling that it's going to be Roman Reigns in that main event. Going home with basically the way the Smackdown went home. Big dog stands tall.
Yeah.
And the crowd goes mild.
Yeah.
So Nick, that is it for our TLC pick'ems. We got a little bit more time, so let's talk about Ring of Honor.
Well, most of you were watching Smackdown last night, but if you're not keeping up with Ring of Honor, they had one of their bigger pay-per-views of the year, Final Battle, last night. And it was, I haven't watched the whole thing. I've watched pieces of it. because I was trying to get all this set up so we could go today. But it's actually a really good show from all I hear. So
it was pretty solid. It was pretty solid.
Yep. Go for it.
Sparsely attended, but pretty solid. If you have not seen the show yet, you don't want spoilers, skip forward about 5 minutes or just mute us for a second, because I am going to give you the results of the matches last night. And there were some big results, by the way. Some big spoilers. Titles changed hands, bro. Vince Russo just took over for me for a second there. Yeah, bro. On the pre-show, Josh Woods and Silas Young beat Dalton Castle and Joe Hendry. What? This one shocked the hell out of me. I was very surprised by that. Dalton Castle. I don't know. I don't know why. And Joe Hendry. Okay, but that's how they went down. Kenny King beat Rhett Titus. They're trying to make Rhett Titus another huge babyface, but I guess he's going to have to climb back into this.
Kenny King has been burning him down. They played the video package before this. Just absolutely murdered him on the mic over the last few weeks, and just it all led to this, right? So, this was good. But
Titus is he's the likable little baby face. Yep. The best match on the pre-show, I couldn't believe it was on the pre-show. God. I can definitely pick a couple of matches it could have flipped with. Jeff Cobb and Dan Moff, dude.
How is Dan Moff still wrestling? Jesus Christ.
I don't know.
I was watching him awesome. In 2004 or something like that.
I don't know, but he's still awesome.
Yeah, he's still awesome.
This match had so much testosterone in it, Nick. My balls grew 4 sizes watching this match. This was awesome. And they to finish the match. So Jeff Cobb finally wins, which as he should. But instead of they shake hands at the end, instead of just shaking hands and walking, they shake hands and chop each other. Because it's so manly. Great stuff. We open the regular show with Marty Scurll and Flip Gordon with Brody King, basically Villain Enterprises, versus Bandito and Flamita. Very fun, fast-paced match, breathless match to start the show. Marty Scurll picking up what may be his last match in Ring of Honor. A lot of chance for AEW, and he went out on his back, putting over Bandito and Flamita. We had Vincent, recently Vinny Marsaglia, beat Matt Taven, which people were not happy about. Matt Taven going babyface. People were not happy that Matt went down in this match. I was kind of questioning it too, but I guess they're going to try and build him back up. Mark Haskins beat Bully Ray in a street fight. I have my thoughts about this. We had Marshall was in the chat earlier, and he was saying that he really enjoyed this match. And you know what? More power to you if you enjoyed this match. It was definitely what was advertised. It was a street fight. It was messy. It was gritty. Lots of implements of destruction. Cheese graters to the nuts. Oh. Bully Ray screaming, "My balls!" But at the same time, my issue with this match was I thought it should be a match that got Mark Haskins over, and it was just a match that was all about Bully Ray. It was kind of booked to be all about Bully Ray. Everything that went down in it revolved around Bully Ray. And if Bully's out there to put over Mark Haskins, he did ultimately lose to Mark Haskins. If you're out there to put him over, put him over. Don't have everything be about you while you're putting over somebody else, because Mark Haskins kind of faded in the background in this match, in my opinion. So, but it was an entertaining match, and obviously people do like it, so there was that. Alex Shelley and Colt Cabana had a really fun, albeit very short match. Shelley picking up the win over Colt Cabana, which is interesting because Colt is currently the U.S. champion, North American champion over in NWA. I wonder if this will have any repercussions there.
This all started by Shelley coming out during the pre-show and calling him out when he was on commentary in a suit. And just going, all right, I'll come have a match with you, I guess. Sorry, guys, I got to go get my gear on. And off he went to put his boom boom gear on. And, so I didn't expect much out of it. But.
We actually have people in the chat asking, saying that we thought it was to get Bully to stay. Bully's the booker. This is the thing. Bully's booking Ring of Honor right now. And so that's makes it even more kind of Hoganish that he's getting himself over like that. But anyway, just my opinion. We had a quick match. Maria Manic just came out and crushed Angelina Love and looked like $1 million. Like, dear God, if you've got to take the title off of Kelly Klein, here's your girl right here. Put it on Maria Manic. She looked awesome.
Yeah.
Just like a straight beast. Dragon Lee showed up and beat Shane Taylor to win the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. Looks like it was a good move to move on from CMLL for Dragon Lee, who's got a Wrestle Kingdom match against Jushin Liger. Jushin Liger's last match. And he's now the Ring of Honor Television Champion. So, yeah, Dragon Lee, good call to leave CMLL, I think. And then, let's see, we had Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham in a tag match against the Briscoes. And this blew my mind. Lethal and Gresham beat the Briscoes for the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Lethal and Gresham are now your Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting decision.
I mean, at least it's somebody different. Maybe I'll try to find the positive. At least it's not the Briscoes anymore.
No,
they've had the titles for like 11 years.
I got some love for Lethal and Gresham. So cool. I hope this is not the Briscoes' way of being like, cool, we out.
Yeah.
AEW. Although, can you imagine Briscoes, LAX, and Young Bucks all in AEW? My nipples can only get so hard, Nick.
Oh.
And finally, PCO versus Rush for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Not the prettiest match I've ever seen in my life, but it was a crap ton of fun. You had all kind of PCO came out in like a smoking hearse, and at one point, Destro like reanimated him with the car battery thing.
Right.
He smashed Rush through the windshield. He had a crowbar. There was people getting put through doors. This was a slobber knocker, insane match. And dear God, this crowd wanted PCO to win. And this was kind of surprising me because I thought Rush looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
Not only coming out in this, but in this match, like he looked like a champion, an absolute champion. And no matter where he ends up, if he is indeed out of Ring of Honor and heading somewhere else, he's going to be something. Like Rush, we've known for years that Rush is a big deal. But it's just now like he's starting to branch out from CMLL and become like a bigger deal outside of that. And I think people are going to see like at why he's been such a big deal for as long as he has on a smaller scene. He's going to be huge. If he gets anywhere near WWE, AEW, more time in New Japan, whatever, like people are really going to see this guy for what he is.
Yeah.
But what he is no longer the Ring of Honor champion. PCO picking up the win here. And PCO, your new Ring of Honor champion.
I did hear, I think it was from Marshall, said that Marty Scurll was getting AEW chants when he was out there. So, we're talking about him having his last match. I'm seeing in the chat. Is he on his way to AEW after this?
Marty, quite possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, we said like the door is wide open for him. There's a lot of places he could go. No idea. All I know is it's crazy that PCO. I always just say how crazy his career resurgence is. 51 years old, taking bumps that a 21-year-old wouldn't want to look at. And it's made him Ring of Honor champion. So congratulations, PCO.
Yeah. That
is awesome.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Ian Dangerous. Oh, guys, we're not done yet. We've got just enough time for our other news lightning round. Beep, 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 beep.
Yes, indeed, sir. Really quickly here, the ratings this week. Dead tie, 778,000 for AEW, 778,000 for NXT. More specifically, it was 771,400 to 778,300 for NXT. 0.28 and 18 to 49 for AEW, 0.24 for NXT. NXT still pulling in the over 50s. What's crazy is both of them pulled in almost no teens, less than 17,000 under 18 for both shows.
They're not watching cable.
They're not. That's what I'm saying. They're consuming it in a different way. They're consuming it in a different way. If this is an example of that, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
NWA's Into the Fire pay-per-view is coming up in about an hour from now. You got Nick Aldis defending against James Storm in a 2 out of 3 falls match. New ref for every round. The Rock and Roll Express are the tag team champions. They're defending against the Wild Cards in a rematch. Colt Cabana, the national champion, will be defending against Aaron Stevens and Ricky Starks in a triple threat match. Allison Kay and Ashley Vox will be facing Melina and Marty Bell. Eli Drake versus Ken Anderson. Thunder Rosa versus Tasha Steelz. Tasha making her debut today. And finally, Trevor Murdoch versus The Question Mark. That's coming up, as we said, in an hour over on Fight TV. We had a couple more matches made for NXT UK Blackpool this week. Toni Storm versus Piper Niven versus Kaylee Ray for the women's title in a triple threat match. I think we called that a couple weeks back, Nick, when we started seeing Toni and Piper get into it. Also, this is madness. Gallus versus Imperium versus Grizzled Young Vets versus Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster in a ladder match, 4-way tag team ladder match for the tag titles. Be still my beating heart. NXT UK Blackpool is going to be nuts. Just off those matches. We don't even have a
It's just
title
2
match
matches.
Yet.
Just have those 2 and we're done.
You're going to have Ilya Dragunov versus Walter as well. Probably.
Oh.
That's my guess. That's Jesus Christ. That's three matches right there that I must see. CM Punk was on Backstage again this week, but the numbers just weren't as good as they were the first time he was there. The first time he was on the show was the highest rating they've had at 180,000 viewers. This time only 127,000 viewers. That's down even from last week where they had 138,000. So CM Punk
buried on FS1. Live stream it for free on the internet and it'll explode.
Yeah, it'll help quite a bit. But people are waiting for CM Punk to drop a pipe bomb, and it hasn't really happened yet. He's been fairly safe. Marcus Crane, you may know him from GCW. He's a deathmatch wrestler. He's in the hospital with some sort of neurological, like a brain infection or something. So best wishes to him.
Oh, man.
He's going to be starting a GoFundMe soon for that. That's gnarly. Yeah, so best wishes. Apparently he was on the way to his show and had to go to the hospital, and they were like, you ain't leaving. Something's wrong with you. Piper Niven, just mentioned her. She had an attack of Bell's palsy recently. Had to go to the hospital for it. Posted, but she seemed like she was in good spirits about it. Posted on Twitter. I've got a funny face and now a permanent people's eyebrow because, as you know, Bell's palsy. It's what happened to Jim Ross. It affects your face.
Drake Maverick as well, I believe.
Yep, and you can't
out the side of their mouth like that. It's a little bit.
Why.
It's a mini stroke in a way.
Yeah, you can actually recover from some of it, but you never know how much of your facial expression you will lose. Yeah. So, get well, Piper Niven. That is rough. And finally, R.I.P. Rest in peace, Rene Goulet. You may have never heard his name, but the dude did a lot of very important stuff. Road agent for WWE for a lot of their big years through the 80s and 90s. He was in a tag team with Andre the Giant in New Japan. He won what is now known as the World Tag League way back in 81. He was the first man to ever beat Ric Flair. If that gives you an idea. 86 years old. So rest in peace, Rene Goulet. And finally, Nick, before we get out of here, I want to do a little something that we've started calling a moment of positivity.
Yes.
What this week made you smile or made you happy? What since the last show we had was something that gave you the grins?
Does it have to be about wrestling?
No, let's just general moment of positivity, preferably about wrestling. But if it's not, that's go for it.
The fact that everything worked for the show today after completely disassembling, and I'm talking hundreds of cables.
It's the simple
and
things.
Monitors and it all coming back together. One little minor hiccup last night, but that's all fixed and everything's just running like it was. Wrestling wise, man, I can't get enough of Keith Lee in NXT right now. All of the things he's been doing the last couple of weeks. And to top that off, I think my actual moment of positivity will be Tom and Ross, the Cultaholic guys, made a music video of Don't You Forget About Keith.
You son of a bitch, you stole it from me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, because I have to agree with you. Tom and Ross making that music video, I literally
we're not
had
worthy.
A tear rolled down my face. I was crying so hard at it. And also other Ross who edited, I believe, that whole thing was brilliant. Keith Lee reposted it and said it was brilliant. Like, mwah. And I wish we could do it better on this show because we're on opposite coasts here. So every time we try to do it, we get out of sync and it sounds terrible. Damn it. But you know what?
We're
Nick,
going to make
do
one.
it anyway. Don't you forget about Keith. Don't. All right. That's all you're going to get today.
Yeah.
But yeah, good way to go, guys. That is definitely our favorite current meme in wrestling, and is my moment of positivity. That's my happiest moment of the week, is those dudes knocking it out of the goddamn park with some brilliant YouTube content. Way to go, gentlemen.
Talk about Rockets getting strapped, mega stardom all of a sudden, because now Full Sail is chanting it at the NXT show this week too, off the back of it.
Nick, the very first time I heard about it, I saw it on Twitter and I tweeted at them, it will be a thing, capital T thing. By God, this will be a thing. And Nick, it is a thing.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. And that is the news.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Ian Dangerous. I enjoyed all of that. I hope you guys did as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with a brand new stream for our patron mailbag episode that we'll be doing immediately after this show goes off. You'll see a new notification if you're subscribed. So make sure you're subscribed down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, head over to youtube.com/bustedwideopen. Bang that subscribe button for us and jingle the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or put up new videos. Come over and join us on Facebook as well. Search for Busted Wide Open on Facebook. Like our page. And send us a join request to get into the discussion group. It is the sort of hub of our operation, and you'll find links in there to all kinds of good stuff, including our Discord server, where you can get in and have live chats all throughout the week. And for pay-per-views, we have dedicated chat channels for all pay-per-views, including TLC happening tomorrow night. We will be doing a watch party, as we always do, for the kickoff show in Facebook. So you got to make sure you're in the Facebook discussion group to be a part of that. Are you cutting in on something? No?
Me?
Yeah, you look like you wanted to say, okay,
I'm
never mind.
just happy, man. We're over in the chat having a love fest. So
all right, cool. You guys do your thing.
That moment of positivity, I'm just all positive now.
It's the power of positivity.
The power of positivity.
Which, go listen to the New Day podcast. It's fantastic, by the way. You won't hear me often shout out another podcast like this, but it is. I'll put the New Day podcast over. It is so much fun. Just
you get those three guys in a. We saw their the one where they're in the car. Like you put them in a room and have them talk. It's going to be goddamn entertaining.
Yeah.
Right
Twitter and Instagram at BWO Podcast. Again, youtube.com/bustedwideopen. And last but certainly not least, thank you to all of our patrons. Patreon.com/BWO. Make sure you get signed up there because you get the ability to get not only copies of the show notes every week, bonus episodes every month, but every week you can ask listener questions as being part of our patronage to get answered on our patron mailbag episode, which we're going to do right now after we're done with this. So Thank you very much, guys, for joining us live. Shout out to the live chat today. Sorry about the trolls and all of that naughty language and bad stuff that was said in there, but I think I got
trolls?
that under control.
I saw nothing.
I cleared it all out. I cleaned it up.
I know.
So, guys, my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God, would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.